the way I approach bread is also in a sort of more of an organic and sensual way, that I put recipes aside. I've never used recipes for bread. Sometimes I use it for inspiration, but recipes is, you know, I don't dismiss it. They're good guidelines, but often I put them aside because what I am interested in is the reconnection to our senses through the baking of bread, because it's such a perfect way to reconnect to our senses by baking. And in this day and age, we've come not to trust our senses. We've forgotten about the sense of touch. Our sense of smell have not been used for a long time, and we don't use it consciously to survive. And we've also sort of retrained ourselves to look at, you know, the stamps, the sell-by date on things that we buy in shops, rather than to trust our senses with smelling and looking. And I feel it's very important in the times that we're living in and the times that we are going into, that we start reconnecting to our senses again, because it's such a valuable tool for survival, and it's such a pleasure to reconnect to them again. So, and the more one reconnects, the more pleasurable life becomes, I feel. For me, baking is very much, as I said, you know, I don't use recipes, but I use my senses, but it's also the sharing the experience, learning from experience. And I feel when I learned my bread baking from my grandmother, I just used to sit there and watch her. I mean, partly because kitchens are wonderful places for children to sit and watch, and you enjoy the smells. I mean, it's a sensual pleasure to be in a kitchen as a child, a kitchen that has got a friendly atmosphere. And my granny was a very generous woman, and she realised that I loved being in there. So she put me on a high chair, and I just sat there, and of course I got my own little lump of bread dough. And so I always made my own little bread. So it was always an exciting thing, because I made loads of funny looking bread and she made nice loaves. But just that learning from experience. And of course I learned through touching the bread and through smelling when the bread was right, when everything, all the process, and it was all things that I couldn't really put into words as such, but I knew when the bread was right. And there's a little quote by a man called William Cobbett, that's actually from this book here, which is a brilliant book if you're interested in the history of bread. A lovely book here. And it says, this William Cobbett, he's written a book called Cottage Economy in 1823, and in that he says, "As to the act of making bread, it would be shocking indeed if that had to be taught by the means of books." By the means of books. Shocking indeed. Because it's you know, it shouldn't be through words printed in books, because it has to have all that, all the experience